Will AI replace us or just power us up? It's the question every developer is asking. And tonight, we put it to the test. I am TJ Gerken. I am the prototype development lead for T100, and I work for a company called Cyberdyne Systems and at the Skynet division. If you want to know what we do, I have a little promotional video for you.
In a world driven by innovation, one company stands at the forefront of technological evolution. Cyberdyne Systems presents Skynet, the future of artificial intelligence. Skynet is not just a system, it's a vision for a better future. Our AI-driven solutions empower humanity like never before. Skynet harnesses the power of artificial intelligence to make our world safer, cleaner, and more connected than ever. It's time to relax. Let us secure your well-being. Skynet, neural net-based artificial intelligence.
Cyberdyne Systems.
How many of you know about F#? Very well? Okay, I was hoping nobody, but so I was trying to pick something that people don't know much about, but we're gonna run then two different AI agents. One of them is gonna be based on ChatGPT, the other is gonna be Claude. And we're gonna use the Visual Studio Code's agent mode. We're gonna prompt the agent, and it's going to build us a little text-based game. That's what we're gonna do. And also, since we're doing this, let me just quickly write a message to my friend Alex, who's an F# programmer, to see if we can have a human program the same thing. And then we're gonna compare this, and we're gonna see what it's all about. Does that sound like fun? Hopefully.
This is folks are never seen this now.
Sorry?
The machine done for one against.
Yes, I've never seen it done before either, so I hope it works. So let's use ChatGPT first. I have a prompt here, and let's look at that prompt. This is the prompt we're going to use. We're saying, hey, you're ChatGPT and an assistant with practical programming expertise in .NET, and I just want a text adventure game based on all these conditions, right? So let's see how it's gonna behave. How many of you have used the agent code in Visual Studio Code? You haven't used agent mode.
Not the agent, but by Peter.
Okay, well, this is Copilot, but with agent mode. You can use this, and it actually has the ability to provide you the whole solution within minutes, or sometimes within hours, let's say. And I'll show you why I say within hours. But anyway, so I copy-paste the same prompt here in my Visual Studio Code. I have a folder open here, and I'm gonna basically say, hey, run.
Okay.
And this is live, by the way, so I have no way of knowing what it's gonna do right now, right? Okay, it says, hey, look, I'm gonna do a new console application named Text Adventure Game and all that stuff, and I'm just gonna say continue. It'll ask you what to do every once in a while. And it says, hey, I'm gonna create this. Yes, please do so. Okay, it says it's being created. Really? That fast? Well, then let's see if we can run it. Text Adventure Game. Okay, what we got is hello world. So obviously that didn't work. right? It didn't get. So I'm going to actually say, hey, build this, please, because you are not building what I want. So I'm going to do this again.
Can you walk us through your prompt?
Sure. While it's doing that. So basically, I'm telling ChatGPT, you're an AI assistant with practical programming expertise in .NET. And what I want you to do is create a text adventure game for me, balanced approach between functional and practical patterns, code organization, good balance of performance and readability, industry standard best practices, scalable, maintainable, make sure that the navigation works. So basically, because text-based adventure, when you say go north, make sure it goes north. It just doesn't stay there. Use proven, reliable programming patterns, balance functional and imperative approaches, include comprehensive with concise documentation and problematic solving and all that, basically. And this is important because if I didn't do this, it actually stayed for a while. I say run .NET build to make sure that the project builds, because it actually has a lot of issues building this. So, now it's generating something. Yes?
Tell me how long it took you to refine that prompt.
It didn't do everything that I have done. Sorry. The question is, tell me how long did it take you to find that prompt? And the answer is refine that prompt. And the answer is, well, the initial version was quite fast because everything that I have done here, I've done using AI. So I asked it to, hey, this is what I have in mind. Can you please give me a prompt? It did. Then I created, and it probably took a good 4 or 5 iterations to perfect that prompt to do. I would say because the generation was quite fast with this, I would say with ChatGPT, it took me about 15 minutes. How come the run of that gave you hello world? That's a very good question because it happened to me at the beginning too. And as you can see, I don't know if it's a bug in the agent mode or not. I copy-pasted the exact same prompt, and now it's actually building some code for me. I don't know why. I cannot answer that question. I really don't know why. I gave the same prompt at the beginning. It gave me hello world and it said, hey, I created this game. The second time, I copy-pasted the exact same prompt, and now it's giving me. I'm not sure why, to be honest with you, with that. And now you can see it seems the build command failed because the current working directory does not contain the project file and all that. So basically, it is just going through the emotions, and you basically just watch what it's doing and keep hitting continue. So it finds errors, it finds building errors. I'm not gonna sit there and wait for it to go through, so I'm gonna actually switch to Claude. It's still one error and all that. And I went through this. It took me around maybe 10 minutes to build it when I was running it the first time, right? So I am just going to close this for the time being. Now we're gonna look at Claude. Claude is different because what we want Claude to do is, hey, your Claude, an AI system focused on elegant functioning and all that, but one thing that we told it is show advanced F# language features. So basically we wanted Claude to be an expert F#, almost academic level programmer. Now let's run this again. Let's see if it's gonna create a hello world or not. This is Claude. This almost the same prompt. The only difference is basically, hey, we just told you're an F#, expert F# programmer. So if I just build this and I say, okay, go ahead, Go ahead, GitHub Copilot. Okay, and it built something. Let's see if it will work. Right? It says, hello from F#. Welcome to the game. Type enter to begin, and type enter to begin. And that's all we have, basically. We don't have anything else. So now, with my experience building with Claude, it took Claude around close to 2 hours to build this simple application. And I am about to show you the code quickly. So let's open Visual Studio Code. And let me actually show you what ChatGPT built for me that I managed ChatGPT to build. Let's do it here. Perfect. So ChatGPT, remember, I didn't tell ChatGPT, hey, you're an F# programmer. I just said you're a .NET expert. And ChatGPT on its own actually chose C#. Even though I said, hey, I want functional programming to be done. ChatGPT said, hey, you know what? If I'm a .NET expert, I'm just going to choose C#. So it did the program in C#. It's a quite simple. You can only go north or south. You cannot do more than that. So let's actually see how it runs.
It goes.
And there you go. Can you see this clearly, or, yeah? Welcome to the text adventure game. You're in a dark forest. There's a path leading north. Available actions, go north. So we go north. And you're at the cliff. If the forest is south, if I jump, guess what happens? We die, game over. But at least it built the game for us, right? This is quite simple game. And one file, program CS, and that's about it. But he used C#, and that was very interesting to me, that when I didn't give him any specific instructions to use F#, it actually chose C#. So let's see Claude, what it did. Oh, do this here again, just easier in front of me. Now, Claude actually built something a lot more sophisticated. You can see from the lists and all that stuff. And I'm going to go through what it did with F#. But let's actually run this and see what happens. Yep. Okay, as you can see, it's a bit more sophisticated than the C# program that ChatGPT did. It's not the fault of ChatGPT. It's just basically chose C# and it just tried to create something as fast as possible. And as I said, it took ChatGPT, when I was doing this, about 10 minutes to get it right, because it just keeps giving errors and, and all that stuff. And it's asking you, what should I do now and all that. Now, Claude took close to 2 hours to build this application. The reason is because I told Claude that you're an expert F# programmer and you have to do this with the best practices and all that. It just tried to be so elegant, and it just tried to do everything in almost in a maybe over-engineering way. So as you can see, it even added help for commands. look to start exploring. So you can already see with this text-based adventure game, it's much more sophisticated what it built. But it took a lot of effort and a lot of correction because there was a lot of errors. And you can see the file is actually quite big, what it did.
When you see a lot of errors, does that mean that it had errors and then you corrected it, or?
No, actually, I didn't correct anything. That's a very good question. The question was, does that mean that with the errors, did you correct it or did it do it itself? I actually told it that it should do it itself. The first couple of runs, and that's part of the prompt perfection method. The first couple of runs that I did, it actually just said, hey, I'm done, it's ready. So I need to do .NET build, and it gave me errors. I copy pasted the error, and it said, hey, it's giving me these errors. It's like, oh, okay, I'll do this again and all that stuff. And many times, Claude actually started from scratch, saying that, hey, this code that I've written is rubbish. I'm going to start from scratch. And that led to more and more issues as well, right? So this is like vibe coding. If you don't know what you're doing at its best, it just goes crazy. So finally, with the prompting, I said, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to tell the AI assistants, the agents, to use .NET Build because I want at least the application to be able to build. That was my goal. And that's why I added that prompt last. And after that, it still kept saying, hey, there is an error. Do you want me to continue? It tells you what to do. It's really good. Even if it's wrong, it talks in such a commanding voice. It's like, hey, because of this is happening, and it should have not been like this, and I should correct this. I'm like, okay, you're the one doing the coding. I'm not. So just go and correct it for me. So basically, all I did is just press on continue. But if you're not there, you cannot just leave it and work for half an hour, 45 minutes, and you come back and the code is ready for you. Almost every 10, 15, 20 seconds, it asks you, shall I continue do this? Shall I continue doing this? Shall I continue doing this? So you need to be there watching what it's doing. Well, the question, yeah, the comment is that you need somebody who can read the code and who is knowledgeable about the code. So basically, it can tell the AI what to do and what not to do. But in my case, I never done F# programming before, right? So I didn't know what this code can do and cannot do. After that, after it generated the file, yes, I studied the code and used it as a learning tool. But at the beginning, like when I was prompting, when I was saying continue or using different prompts, at some point I actually quit generating and started from scratch myself too, because as I said, it just went into every kind of which direction. One thing probably helps is, even if you don't know the language, you should still know what you want and the architecture you want and all that stuff. In this case, though, I just let them run free. That's why, as you can see, all of the programs only have one file, program.cs. It didn't generate any interfaces. It didn't, nothing. It just basically is doing it in one file. And probably, if you look at LinkedIn and Twitter and whatnot, social media, you see the comments that normal people, non-developers, are trying to wipe code their way into a product because they have an idea and they think they can do that, but then they realize that AI is just going on its own. So you basically need to hold its hand, so to speak, for sure. But in this case, I didn't. I just wanted to see where they go, and it was a very, very interesting experience. So I'm going to close this too. My friend Alex said, okay, it's available, so let's go and take a look at that. Let's see what our human friend did. This is our human friend. And as you can see, you can already see human has two files instead of one. Hey, there is game logic in a different file, so it's actually organized more or less like we do. And one thing is there's a lot of printfn, so there's a lot of debugging information here, and there's a lot of to-dos and all that as well, right? Because that's what humans do. So let's run this too, see how that works out for us. Okay, it's not too bad. You can see the debug messages. It's already there, and you're in a hole along dimly lit highway. You can go east, north. If I say east, no, it didn't like it because it probably should say go north. So that's a little bug and all that. So basically that's what the human Alex, my friend Alex, did. But you can already see the debug messages and the comments and all that. So because we developers, human developers, we tend to comment a lot, or we may forget the debug messages. So, and I can bring all three codes up on the screen. At this point, I just want to ask you, which code would you prefer? Would you prefer Claude's expertise approach, which took almost 2 hours to perfect it and to run, ChatGPT, which took about 15 minutes to do, or Alex, which probably took 15, 20 minutes too right now? Okay, one comment that I have was that they would prefer a running code instead of an elegant code that doesn't even compile. And for them, the important thing is that to get that user experience, so you can get feedback, right? Yeah. I agree with that. So let me just go back to this. So when I assign the roles to different agents, ChatGPT just turned out to be the pragmatist. And as I said, it totally ignored the F# requirement, and it chose C# instead, saying that, hey, if I'm an expert .NET guy, that's what I'm going to do. It managed to create an MVP with just 2 rooms and some basic navigation. And, it worked immediately, but it was very, very simple. But as you said, if it's the prototype that we're after, to get quick feedback from the users, this was actually quite useful, other than the fact that it didn't follow the tech stack that we wanted to follow. Well, I think the comment was it probably didn't feel it itself that, hey, I better do C#. I agree with you. I think when I said, it's in the prompting, when I said you're a .NET expert programmer, if I come to you and say that, hey, I'm a .NET expert programmer, you will never think, he is probably good at F#, right? We immediately think about C#, and ChatGPT did that actually. He said, hey, if I'm a .NET expert programmer, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use C#. So it's basically used this kind of code that it's quite simple, straightforward approach. And then with Claude, we did say, hey, use F#, because I realized when I did ChatGPT, I'm like, oh no, if I say .NET, they might just go this way. So now I need to install it, say that, hey, you're an F# expert programmer. So yes, it did that. But what it did is, it just went on to showcasing its abilities. It said, hey, you know what? I'm going to build the best system there is. And it actually, there's some code there that's quite complex. I'll put it on GitHub. It's quite complicated. And it did have some mathematical elegance. For example, it did monadic error handling, pattern matching. I didn't write it here, but it used discriminated unions, right? Something that C# doesn't have. It actually used all of those. It was a bit over-engineered, but it was sophisticated. And here, I actually want to touch on the discriminated unions and monadic error handling and all that a bit, because usually C# programmers don't know about this. Well, I didn't, and I had to learn for this. So discriminated unions basically forces you to pick exactly one option from a predefined list. And because of that, no invalid choices are allowed. And when I was working with this, as I was compiling, and obviously I went into a bit adventures myself and change the code and see what happens and all that stuff. It's actually, I found that F-sharp's compiler is quite good, and it catches a lot of these issues during compile time. And then there is this thing called monadic error handling. And this means that compiler ensures you've dealt with every possible scenario, so no forgotten edge cases. Usually in C#, we either use switch or we go if then. There's like these nested if then else commands. I found that F# actually handles those in a much more elegant way. And then there's pattern matching. So it forces you explicitly to deal with things that can go wrong, which means that there are no surprises or unhandled failures and therefore crashes. So the funny thing is, pattern matching is introduced in C#9. So C# has this too, but ChatGPT did not choose to do this, even though we told them to be elaborate and be sophisticated and all that. It still went the most simplest way that it can. So that was interesting to me too, how it forced you to do things. So Claude also had some elegant functional design, as you can see, and it had pure functions everywhere. So with Claude, it actually I found that during my prompting and dealing with it, it prioritizes theoretical correctness. It likes to show off how well he knows this, but that led to a lot of compile errors and a lot of writing the program CS from scratch. There was at least 8 or 9 times it actually said, I'm ditching this file and I'm gonna start from scratch. Are you okay with it? I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're doing. Just go ahead and do it. I just want to program at this point, but it basically did that. And as I said here, it's restarted multiple times, seeking perfection. So if you look at Alex's code, and I was quite quick to do this while Alex was programming, it's basically just like any human would program. A lot of debugging information, a lot of to-dos, do this here, do this there, and all that. So it's actually, he's more professional. It was human development patterns, just like we would do, and more verbose UX. I realized in the other code, for example, if you say north, it will go north, but here with Alex, you should use the words go north. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. So now I can tell you that Alex was not a human, actually. Alex was another prompt that I used. And I can share the prompt with you. But with ChatGPT, I use ChatGPT 4.1 in the agent. Claude was Claude Sonnet 4, and Alex was ChatGPT 04 Mini. And 04 Mini is quite fast, but quite simple. It was the fastest one of them all. It actually created the solution within like a couple of minutes, really. So with that, I would say the future is not AI versus human. It's not an issue of AI versus human. Is it gonna take our jobs or not? But it's actually humans with AI. We need to work with it. And I find that, for example, I actually did the same program later, or I actually intend to do the same programs later with just prompting. And telling that, hey, this is the architecture I want, this is what I want you to do, and I want to build it like this. And then you get better results. For example, with SSW's clean architecture, I can tell it to use, hey, I want you to use SSW clean architecture. I can give the GitHub repo to the AI, and it will actually look at it, it will study it, and it will just then build something for me along those lines. And I find that the more precise you are, the more hand-holding you do, the better results you get. If you just leave it like I did and just say, hey, build me something, I have this great idea, and and it just goes berserk. All in all, all three of them took me probably about a day or so to build. And the result was, after a day's work, was quite simple. Chances are we could do this in C# within an hour or so if you wanted to. So that was it for me, and that was actually quite quick. I'm quite happy with this. So if you want to give feedback, I have 2 QR codes here. This is interesting. The one on the left, well, the one with the black background, is if you want to give feedback for this, and you get 1,000 points, SSW 1,000 points, reward points. The one on the right, just a QR code, is basically you just say, hey, I watched this, that's it, I was here, kind of deal, and you still get 1,000 points. I asked what will happen if you scan both of them, that you get 2,000 points. Apparently that's not the case. So you still get 1,000 points. So.
Because this industry is moving so fast, with almost weekly a new version coming out, a new competitor or whatever is coming out, and as Adam said, we here in SSW are a whole bunch of different people, developers, marketing people who use AI, non-developers basically. Everyone almost uses different tools, and sharing the knowledge, what tool is good in what scenario, is pretty much key. For example, if I need to set up boilerplate code in a Next.js app, I like to use Firebase Studio because it does a pretty good job for me, the way I'm using it. General development, I'm using Cursor as well most of the time, like to fix certain things. So there's definitely a lot of benefit discussing the different tools and the experiences within the team, because the industry is moving so quick.
Let me ask you a question. Do you use one AI tool, or do you use multiple? Multiple. May I ask why?
As I mentioned before, different AI tools have different strengths that I've found personally. As I said, if I'm needing to set up like a boilerplate new project in Next.js, I like to use Firebase Studio. I just give it the high-level things that I want for this project. It generates a whole bunch of code. It does all the setup, Tailwind, CSS, Next.js, database ORM, if I specify it, etc., color scheme. So it saves me probably several hours of boilerplating code. And then I take that into Cursor, and I use basically Claude Sonnet for the rest of development, bug fixes or feature development, etc.
Have you enjoyed sharing the knowledge in your team and having chats? And is that step in the sprint reviews helpful for you?
It's helpful if somebody discovers a new AI tool that I haven't heard of. And as I said, I think it's very helpful if people share the experience that they have. For example, this AI tool didn't do a great job writing unit tests. I used this, it did a much better job. So I think that's pretty valuable because, as I said, the industry is moving so fast. There's so many tools. It's almost impossible for a single person to evaluate all of them.
We used to be in DLL hell, and now we're kind of in an LLM hell, so to speak. Even within the same company, you're like, which model am I going to use? Which is better? Which is faster? Do you guys use local LLMs at all?
We do in China. Yeah, we do in China.
Because of DeepSeek, or?
No, because we're trying to make the Western ones work over there.
Oh, wow, okay. That's interesting. Okay, so China or Chinese developers do use local LLMs.
Yeah.
Okay. I use local LLMs as well, especially if it's something that I don't want to share with anything in the cloud. I want it to stay within what I'm doing, and I don't want it to go out. I don't want anybody to train on it. So then I actually switch to using a local LLM model.
We have a question from the YouTube live stream. The question is, do you prefer to use AI by giving it one small task at a time, or by giving it the whole project for context and then going from there?
My preference is give the whole context, but small tasks. That's what I find that it's more efficient. Otherwise, AI has this ability, or LLMs we're talking about, they have this ability to create literally thousands of codes within like seconds. And it's very easy to see, okay, what did you do here? What is going on and all that? So I'd like to give it context. I'd like to give it the architecture that I wanted to use. I actually use it as more like very handy, very curious, sometimes a bit clumsy, junior developer at my hands. And I can just go and say, hey, I want to use this architecture. I want it to appear like this, and just build this section for me right now. And then we go into a code review, so to speak. And I either correct it and I say, no, tell me why you did it this way. And it says, and I'm like, no, that's not what I want. That's not what I said. It just goes on to it. So even when you give specific instructions, I find that it sometimes go into its own way. So every once in a while, you just kind of need to get it back in line. I hope that was sufficient.
Yeah, that was great. We have another question. This one is from Manny. Manny asks, is it a useful way of thinking about it as a better Stack Overflow?
It is. It is, but it's not. It's funny. I remember coming to an SSW user group maybe a year and a half ago, where actually I think, let me think this through, and I do have a point, I promise. I think Adam made a comment there. He was going through the news himself, and he made a comment, and I heartily agree with that comment. It is kind of like Stack Overflow, but in a recursive way. So Stack Overflow, how it worked is, humans just went in, came up with these creative ideas and all that. LLM can only work on the data that it's giving. So basically, it's working on Stack Overflow data. It knows what's been there. But what if it's a new tool that we're running into problems and all that? And that's where I find actually LLMs are extremely short. They come up short in what they do. The reason is because they never have seen that new tool that was released 2 weeks ago, and it has a lot of problems and all that stuff. So Stack Overflow used to help us with that. LLMs do not, because they just basically train on the same data that where Stack Overflow is.
So it's better than Stack Overflow only if it's a topic that has already extensively been written about on Stack Overflow.
Correct. in a way, it's kind of like that. As I said, as a learning tool, it's better than Stack Overflow. Like lately, this is not programming related, but I find myself using it even for programming related stuff. I don't search them. I needed a new computer monitor arm. So then I just went into ChatGPT and I said, look, this is what I want. These are the things that I'm after. This is the size of my monitor. This is the model that I'm using. So it gets the correct size for me. And I said, give me 5 highly reviewed ones within my budget, and I'll go and take a look at them. So now I don't need to go to Google and make sure that I have the correct prompt, the perfect prompt, or I don't need to go to Amazon and then just search and read the user reviews and all that. It does that for me, and it took me like 5 minutes, seriously, to find something that I like and buy.
All right, next question is also from Manny again. He asks, are the AI coding tools used differently by senior devs compared to junior devs?
I think so. Definitely. And I've seen it in action too. Junior devs seem to trust AI tools a bit more. Senior guys are, well, we're first of all a bit more opinionated than junior guys, and we want things to be done in a certain way, at least in my case. I want it to be done in a certain way. And then I like to handheld this. Do you guys have a different experience, or?
No, I agree with that. Obviously, senior. I agree with that comment. Obviously, with senior developers, you evaluate the results that AI gives you against the experience that you have, industry experience. While junior devs, they have no experience yet. They don't know necessarily what are best practices, what design patterns they are, etc. So they kind of have to trust it point blank. While we evaluate it, okay, did it do that? Did it apply certain patterns, best practices? If it didn't, then we reprompt it or make adjustments to the prompt, to the solution, etc. So yeah, senior devs definitely use it differently.
We have somebody from the YouTube live stream asking, which tool was it that the audience member uses for Next.js? Was it Firebase Studio?
Yeah, Firebase.studio.
Okay, confirmed for the live stream. It is Firebase.studio.
Any more questions? Any more comments?
Okay, well, thank you, TJ. I think that's a wrap. Very grateful to have you here. And for everybody else, we will see you next month for the .NET User Group.